6 yards. He was wide open.
After the turnover.
He's got a man.
Harper going deep. Caught.
Happy Sunday. Today, we will look at the 2025 recruiting class and which 4- and 5-star recruits does the Huskers have a chance to grab? And even better, how many can they actually get to flip to the Huskers? Chances might be better than you think. Now, first, I want to break down Rhule's press conference and show you how good this season can be, as it looks like Rhule has a good vibe on his team. And you could tell he thinks this team can win now and not in year 3 that most people think is Rhule's ultimate year when he starts winning. And remember, if you're a Husker fan or just a college football fan in general, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click on notifications as we talk Huskers, Big Ten, and college football daily. Now, with less than 6 days before kickoff, let's take a closer look at what Rhule stated in his press conference, kind of break down what he was talking about, and let me point out some signs that can actually give you hope on how good this year can actually be. Now, first was Rhule's statement, and I want to point this out. If we take a look at it, he made the remark, "I haven't seen us play like this in a while," talking about the 9-on-7 period the team ran with mostly starters during that practice. He talked about how physical they were and that it was just good on good, if you know what I mean. Rhule has been around coaching for a long time, for a few years, and he knows how players practice and how they act when they first come to camp and as camp goes on. It's almost like anything. I was in the military, spent 8 years in the military. And if you ever got a new job, you're excited at the beginning and you do extra at the beginning. Well, same thing, like when you're military, and then when time comes and you're about to get out, I was in it 8 years, is what we called short timers. You're kind of on that, what they call, that's why they called you short timers. You're kind of on that, down low, it's at the end. And that's what he's used to. That's almost about anything in life. And he brought that up and he knows how they act at the beginning of camps, how most of them will act, and how they are 4 or 5 weeks into camp as camp is winding down to the first game, and they're kind of tired of going up against themselves and ready to really go hit somebody else. He talked about most starting to relax, the relaxing phase, not putting in the same effort a lot of times as they are ready for the season and just wanting camp life over. But he said, you don't see that here. You could tell it's probably even more physical and better 4 or 5 weeks in than it was at the beginning. And on this day, Rhule saw his guys being more physical than he never had seen before in week 4, for sure. He talked about how Mazuka and Scott were pushing someone and laying them out. And it was Nash. And Nash got knocked down and did a spin move, jumped off the ground and laid out and made the play. And he got to see that physicality and that play on some of his best players on both sides of the ball. And it was some of the best gameplay that you've seen, especially at a practice. And these are signs. These players have a different attitude we've seen in a long time, and an attitude that they want this season to be different. You could tell a lot of them wants this season to be different. So I want y'all to take that in consideration. It's small, and you kind of got to read between the lines, but I feel like this is something big we haven't seen in a while, and I know it gives everybody excitement. Now, if you didn't see, Georgia Tech upset number 10th ranked Florida State in Ireland Saturday. And Georgia Tech kicked a 44-yard last-second field goal and beat 10th ranked Florida State. And this right there ought to be something Husker fans ought to relish, ought to really think, wow, this gives you hope. And what you saw in this game, if you watched it, was Tech's offensive line pushed Florida State's defensive line around. allowing for them to run for over 190 yards and average 5.3 yards per carry against Florida State. And this is a team that was unbeaten and should have made the playoffs last year. And this helped their quarterback Haynes King, operate efficiently, finishing 11 for 16 for 146 yards. But the biggest thing, they had 0 turnovers. You're asking, what does this have to do with the Huskers? There's not much difference when it comes to Nebraska. The Huskers have the offensive line to move the ball on the ground. They have the running game, and they're going to need a good run game to open up the pass. This is critical, especially with a true freshman quarterback. Helping Rhule as much as you can in other areas will help make or break this season. Now, some key questions for Nebraska to accomplish this, as the Huskers have 2 areas to me of concern, pretty good concerns, that have to be answered and could ultimately decide how well this season goes. And that's left tackle and kicker. Left tackle and kicker, with Rhule being a true freshman and kind of a typical pocket passer, pass protection is going to be key, especially at left tackle. That's why they call it the blind side. And Turner Corcoran has lots of starts, and he's a veteran. And his run block PFF was decent last season, but his pass block PFF was one of the worst in the nation at 30.5. Worst on the team. Where Teddy's pass blocking was 72.3, who went down. So what I want to show you, and let me flip this over. And there's our countdown. We are under 6 days, down to 5. And I want you to get a good idea. This is PFF. This is their website. And you can see last year's stats. Justin Evans-Jenkins on pass blocking, and I got it sorted to pass blocking, was the best at an 81.6. And if you look after that, was Janarian Bonner at 78.3. And then you have Thomas Fedoni at 76.2. So it's kind of sad, if you think about it, that 2 tight ends, or a wide receiver and a tight end, if you want to consider Bonner a wide receiver now, are better at pass blocking than 80% of your offensive line. So we just might see Fedoni over on that left side helping Corcoran out a lot this season, depending how it goes. I think if they get struggles over there, you're going to probably see that in the game if you're paying attention and watching that. And so this is going to be key, because the one thing about this for Rhule, with him being right-handed, that's his blind side. And for his protection and for his career, he can't have that being a weak side. And you're going to see later on when I talk about recruiting how this could end up helping Nebraska on a certain recruit that I talk about in the long run. Now, if you look at it, going now to kicker, is Tristan Albano and John Hull. Does the Huskers now have the kicker, which is my second key point? Do they have the kicker you could trust to go out under immense pressure, time running out, and nail a 44-yarder like Georgia Tech's kicker did to win the game? That's a question we really are not sure of right now. No doubt we have 2 or 3 kickers on the team that does have the leg. They have 44 yards and then some on all of them. They can make that distance-wise without a problem. But kicking in practice isn't the same as kicking in a game, with the game on the line. And so with Tristan Albano still not 100%, does this mean the Huskers go into this season, again, relying on another freshman kicker? Maybe, but from what I've heard, redshirt freshman John Hull has been very impressive during all of camp. And it might be the better choice to me than Albano. Alvano really didn't have a great year last year. And if you remember in the spring game, he missed some kind of some easy kicks. I say easy, I probably couldn't do it since that's his job. So to me, Hull might be the better choice to give him the job right off the bat and tell Alvano's 100%. So you give it to John Hull. To me, he's earned it. And to me, if Hull does what he's been doing in practice, then to me, it's Hull's job, period. From here on out, it's his job. He earned it. He won it. To me, Alvano, I like Alvano, don't get me wrong. And I think he could end up still being a kicker. He was a true freshman last year. John Hull is a redshirt freshman this year. So they're basically the same. The only difference is Tristan didn't redshirt. But I've heard nothing but rave reviews on John Hull. He seemed to do what he needs to do. He's taken advantage of his time when Alvano went down. So I think he's deserved this job. I think he should get it. And if he does what he's been doing and makes them kicks, then to me it's his job, period. Even when Alvano gets to be 100%. To me, that's just plain and simple. So you could see Georgia Tech's upset win at the Tech game shows that no one knows how the season is really going to go, as predictions mean nothing. And that can easily be the Huskers. They have the running game. If they find protection on the left side, clean up the turnovers from last year, and the kicking game improves, this can easily be the Huskers pulling out these games and surprising a lot of people this year. It really can. So the hopes are high, and to me, that ought to give us fans, and I know it has me, excitement and hope for this year. Now, let's move on into recruiting news. I talked about recruiting. The Huskers are sitting right now are 18 commits, and I want to switch over here and show you. You could see, as I like using On3's rankings, and it's because they do a combination. They take all the rankings and they do kind of an average ranking. They have their own ranking, and you have 247 Rivals, ESPN, and then they kind of do an overall ranking, and this is their overall ranking based on all of them, all four put together. And so you see Nebraska's ranked 30th in the nation. They are 9th in the Big Ten, averaging 87.92 points per player. And you could see that Isaiah Mosey and Malcolm Simpson are currently the Huskers' highest two players in the 25 recruiting class. But I want to talk about four recruits that have either committed somewhere else or are still thinking on where they're going to commit, and show you that it doesn't mean no for Nebraska. And let me explain why. So we're going to start showing you this and breaking down each one. So I want to start off with my first one, which is Dawson Meritt. Dawson Meritt, the one out of Kansas. Right now he's committed to Alabama. And this is one player that I know loves Nebraska. And Nebraska has a real good shot. What's important to him is winning. Winning. And so the easier choice right now is Alabama. But I'm telling you right now, this is one because he loved the coaches, loved the fans, loved the facilities, and he's real close to home where family can easily make a trip up. So to me, this is one that could easily go to Nebraska. This is probably, to me, the best one that Nebraska could get. And if Nebraska could come out and win this year, and to me, they're going to have to win probably about 8 games. And the good thing is, if you watched Wilson's video on his, he kind of agreed with what I was saying here. I heard him kind of saying the same thing. And to me, I feel like Nebraska has a good shot. So if they could come out here, look good, and win about 8 games, this is one I feel like Dawson will turn his commitment to Nebraska. Because remember, none of these are set in stone until December. Signing day is not till December. Now, the one thing now hurts anybody on a flip is the signing day has been moved up to that first Wednesday, I believe, of December. So if we'd had that last year, would Rhule still have committed to Nebraska? Remember, he did it like just days before the signing day, which was like 17th or 18th or something like of December. So what had he been thinking about that at the beginning of December? Would he have made that choice? Was he still not sure then and still would have signed with Georgia because he just hadn't made that choice and maybe would have regretted it 2 or 3 weeks later? Who knows, right? So this is important because it's going to have to be something that he decides quick. And to me, this one here depends on winning because if Nebraska's done everything they can do besides win, and I think everybody's just tired of talk. We talk about how great they're doing. They're supposed to do well. Well, sometimes we hear that every year. I know this is a different feel, a different vibe, different coaching staff. Rhule's proven over the years this is what he does. And year two was usually a big change, and people's made remarks that really last year was year two and this was year three just because of the talent. So this is one I feel like if Nebraska go in there and win, I feel like 8 games. It's got to be 8. I don't know. I don't think 6 or 7 is going to do it. I think it's got to be 8 or more. And if they could do that, they get him. But winning means a lot to him. Now, my next one that I want to talk about is a local kid, Chase Lofton, out of Omaha. And he's another one that I feel like, and right now he's committed to Florida State. And he's another one I think was a couple reasons. One, the current roster, the tight ends we have, we got Carter Nelson, put on all that, and then also winning. And you're going to hear winnings probably means a lot on a lot of these players. Nebraska's done everything right when it comes to recruiting. You take a coaching staff's coming in here and look how well they've done in the couple years they've been here, year and a half. And as well as they've done, we haven't even won in 8 years. So what can we do if we win? So Chase is another one, but the one thing that's going to help Chase Lofton is I see him, he's more of a fit like Carter Nelson. His body style, his play is like Carter Nelson. Carter's a lot quicker, but I feel like what they're going to be able to do is they're going to have special plays. They're going to create plays for Carter Nelson. So throughout the year, they're going to be able to show Chase, this could be you. We'll find a way to get you on the field. Ja'Cory Barney's another. I feel like they'll create plays to get him on the field. And I know that different kind of players, but it's one of those I could say for players that we know could play, you're not going to wait. We're going to put you on the field and put you in the best spot. And I think that's going to be key when we watch this season. And I got a feeling Carter Nelson's going to tear it up. Him and Rhule look great in that Hawaii and that Polynesian Bowl. And I already kind of got a little chemistry together there. It looked like in that Polynesian Bowl, they've been playing together for a while. Carter Nelson's just a mold different from everybody else. So I think that's going to help Nebraska. And then again, they're going to have to win. With Chase, I don't think it's going to take much. I think if they make a bowl, 6-7 wins, that'd probably do it for him. And so I could see easily these are the 2 guys I feel like Nebraska could get winning. And I just feel like they're going to be able to show Chase here the plays and all that they've created for Carter Nelson and maybe Ja'Cory Barney and say, this is what we're going to do for you. We're going to get you on the field. You don't have to worry about it. We're going to play. Plus, we got a couple of these tight ends that are moving on, be going pro. Fedoni could go pro. And so I got a feeling we could easily get this one. This one's probably me more of one we could grab with Dawson right behind him. So these are the 2 guys I feel like winning is a key. And I think if we could do that, we got these 2. Now, here's 2 more I got that's going to be a long shot, but it's not impossible. And it's Michael Terry III. And the one thing about me, guys, is I know a lot of people think Texas is it. You hear everybody said it. And Wilson was another one he thought was going to go to Texas. And I like Wilson. I like watching his channels. I've subscribed to his channel. I've even joined a channel. And he's got good take. But the one thing I have is experience in years. I've always said, I've said this always, that God knows everything because he's been around so long. Well, how long has he been around? Well, I've only been around 60-something years. So you learn a lot as time goes on. And you guys know that. Some of you are older, you know that. And you get a feel by talking and reading. And Terry's one of those that's why I felt like his pick is Oregon. And everybody wants to say Texas, but to me it's Oregon. Because you could tell when he talks about Oregon and the style of play, you could tell what's important to him is what's best for him and his future. What fits him. And he's talked over and over again about how Oregon's offense fits him. And so to me, Oregon is probably where he's going to go. I think the only way he doesn't go to Oregon is Oregon flops on their face and this year goes bad. Somebody gets fired, something like that. I don't see that happening. Oregon's going to do well, probably makes the playoffs this year easily. I think Oregon gets it. But rumor is it, when I've talked, that they're still trying to get Terry up here to the Nebraska game against Colorado. Colorado game's a night game, Saturday night, so it's an easy game he can make after his game on Friday. Easy fly in, fly out. And I will give Nebraska some kudo points there if they could get him up again, because I know he likes Nebraska. He likes the facilities. He likes the fans. It's the offense. And he's got to see it for his own eyes. That's why you see he has not committed yet. And Terry is a man of his word, and I believe this. Talking to him, you could tell he's a man of his word. And he already said, when I make my decision, that's it. I'm not changing. So that's why you see he has not made that decision yet, because when he makes it, that's it. And right now he still doesn't know. So he's one where I feel like it could easily go all the way up time to signing day before he makes a decision. But it's probably going to go later in the year before he decides. But once he decides, that's it. But Nebraska gets him on during the Colorado game, and Nebraska could show what they can do. And again, this is another one where Rhule puts in plays for Carter Nelson, puts some plays in for Ja'Cory Barney, because Terry's one of those athletes that fits in that kind of that Ja'Cory Barney category. He's a lot bigger than Barney, but he's already talked about creating plays for this young man, and he could show him, this is what we do for you. So he's another one we could show, hey, this is how we're going to get you on the field. This is how we're going to point you out to the whole world, how good you are. And that's, to me, what's important to him. He's trying to boost his stock. He wants to go top in the NFL draft. He hadn't said that, but that's the read I get. He wants to be the best of the best, and he wants everybody to know it. So he wants an offense that's going to show that. And so that's the only way Huskers are probably going to get it. Get him here, show him this is going to be you. This is what we did for Carter Nelson. This is what we did for Ja'Cory Barney. If they could do that, then win. Also, winning's key. There's a chance. But I think ultimately he actually commits to Oregon. I really don't think he's going to Texas. I think Texas is only in it because, one, it's local. I think family probably really wants him to go there. But you could tell he's a strong-minded young man, and he's his own man. He's not one of those that commits because family wants him. He doesn't bow to that pressure, and you could tell it. And he's going to go where he knows it's the best choice for him, and ultimately that's probably Oregon. So to me, it's Oregon. And there's one more I have, and you're going to be shocked because he's already committed somewhere, but I feel like Nebraska still has this outside shot. It's David Sanders Jr. Yep, I know he committed to Tennessee. But this is one young man that loved Nebraska. This is one young man, if Nebraska would have started recruiting him early, real early, we probably would already have him, because he loved Nebraska. He loved the fans. He loved the feel, loved that hometown atmosphere. But it was just ultimately too much to overcome the relationships he'd already committed and had with Tennessee. Plus, his family, like Tennessee, was a lot closer. And the biggest thing, it's hard to beat, and that's his girlfriend goes to Tennessee. And I know you and I that are a little older know good and well that you don't do that when it comes to women. You don't make that decision. But when you're 18 or 19, you kind of do that, and then you realize down the road I shouldn't have done that. And he's 18, 19. He's, that means a lot to him. Or to me, it would have been, sorry, that's not going to matter. But David Sanders Jr. likes it here. And again, that's another one where I feel like Rhule is not going to stay off of him. Dylan Rhule, one thing about it, a player can communicate with him as much as they want. There's no rule breaking there. And Dylan's going to be all over him. And especially if they had, this is one where I talked about could help Nebraska. If our left side, our left tackle position is kind of hurting, man, you're going to see Rhule even pressure even harder. Hey, man, we need you. Where maybe Sanders looks at it and goes, yeah, if maybe with me there, this team really goes. Because Nebraska could have a decent year, but they could see the struggles on that left side where maybe you're having to put Fodoni over there. And so this could be one where I know for a fact Rhule is probably not going to let go until signing day. He's probably going to be on that phone and on messaging all the way up to the time it's time to sign. And this isn't a long shot, but it's one that's ultimately could happen. It's a possibility happen. And this is one I think Rhule. This is a young man. This guy right here is a young man that doesn't come around very often. We could talk about Brandon Baker last year. We could talk about the top tackle next year that Nebraska's looking at. They're not even close to this young man. He's what the Blindside movie was created for. They're a diamond in the rough. He's 6'6" almost, 276 pounds, and he could probably play wide receiver. He's that athletic. Okay. He's just a different mold of a man. And this is somebody that's a game changer. He makes a difference in an offense, period. And this is somebody I think Rhule and them want to go all out. You're talking about, well, family can't get here, man. You got your own jet. It's like money's not an option. We'll come get you and bring you up here every weekend. We'll even take you to the road games. We'll give you whatever you need to get up here. It's not like it used to be. Got NIL now. We could make it happen. So being the distance doesn't mean anything. We could get the family here. This is a player you got to go after. Out of all these four I just named, if I had to give one, you're telling me you could have one of these, this is the one I'd want. David Sanders Jr. is the one I'd want. Not even close. All right? No, trust me, I like Dawson Meritt. I like Chase Lofton and Michael Terry. But this is the one that makes a difference. Linebackers, edge, tight ends, wide receivers. There's some good ones out there. This young man is an elite player at his position, above everybody else. To me, he's the number one player in the nation. I don't care what anyone says. That's my take on him. So you could see this is where I stand, and I know it's a long shot for Sanders, but it's not over yet, and I hope they could pull it out. I hope they go all out to do what they got to do. You're going to give someone 6 figures that's on the line. This is him. I think you could get him. You might have to do something that you probably don't normally do, but he's not your normal player. If they gave more than 5 stars, he should have it. That's just how I feel about David Sanders Jr. Yes, that much. So, well, guys, now make sure you join me. And every Wednesday, as I've started a podcast called Husker Talk with Jeff. I'm going to having these every Wednesday where I talk and discuss Huskers, recruiting, injury updates, anything and everything that happens throughout that week, giving updates and all that. And it's going to be right here every Wednesday night, right here on YouTube. And so you don't want to miss that. And if you want these live, I wouldn't mind doing these live if you want to be more involved in these, and where you can make your own comments and respond, giving your feedback on what I say. As like I said before, I always think these are better when you have other fans to discuss it with and give their comments on or debate what you're saying, maybe give their reasoning of why you don't think it should be happening that way. I try to respond to comments on there, and I kind of enjoy that part where someone might give their take, and then I might explain to them why I think this way, or I might agree with them. Because a lot of things that someone might say, I might agree. Hey, you're right. What about the Colorado? Colorado's a game that scares me. Everybody's thinking, oh, they're going to blow Colorado out. I think a lot of that's just talk. But I told young man now, I don't know if he's a Colorado fan or not. And I told him, yeah, this is a game that scares me. This is a game that could easily be a loss. You got Shedeur Sanders in the back as quarterback. Anything could happen. To me, Shedeur Sanders is probably the best quarterback playing right now in college. So if you want that, send me a comment below saying, hey, I wouldn't mind these being live. And if you want, you could also email me, shoot me an email. Email is probably better. I'd get the email a lot quicker. In the comments, I got to search for them. I have to go look for them and shoot me an email saying, hey, I want to do these lives. And if we get a lot of people want to do them live and all that, we'll start doing them live. And if not, then I'll just do what I've been doing and recording them, So, and like always, guys, don't forget to subscribe, click on notifications, and please smash that like button. I really appreciate it. Again, thank you for watching. Go Big Red.